Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. Hope everyone's doing great out there. Saw something yesterday that, once again, I've done a lot of videos about purchasing land in Belize, what to look for in Belize. But I saw a post that was put out by one of the news outlets here, and it was a gentleman who was wanting to get water brought to his house, which was, from what they reported, which was about another 85 foot to get water from where it stopped to this gentleman's property. And he was going to be charged almost 10,000 Belizean dollars to have a water pipe brought 85 foot down to his property. Here's the post. Let's go ahead and take a look at the post, and then just go ahead and read it for yourself, and then we'll get back into the video. So as you can see from this article here, this gentleman was getting ready to have to spend 10,000 Belizean dollars to have 85 foot of pretty much PVC pipe, because they don't use anything different than PVC pipe here that I've seen. Even going down the sides of the roads here, PVC pipe, I've seen them use PVC pipe, about this wide, and that's what they'll run down the sides of the water. If you are in an area that they have a facility that provides water. But this guy was getting ready to have to pay, or they were going to charge him 10,000 Belizean dollars to run 85 foot of PVC pipe to bring this gentleman water. And I made videos on this before, so I really want to talk about utilities here in Belize and why it's so important to know where they are from your property, if they're on your property, if they're near your property, if they're close to your property, because all of that is going to make a huge money difference in an add-on to whatever property that you're looking at. And the other reason why I wanted to do this video is because I know right now there's two people that are in Belize that do not have power and water to the properties that they just had built recently. And that can be a really defeating feeling, to be honest with you, to have come here to Belize, bought a piece of property, and realize that power and water is utilities, as far as power and water are out of your grasp unless you do a well, rainwater catchment, or you do solar. So in this instance here, the amount of money that they're wanting to charge this gentleman to run 85 foot of PVC pipe with water in it for 10,000 Belizean dollars, yes, he's absolutely better trying to have a well dug. But in my opinion, if you ask me, it would be smarter just to use rainwater catchment and cisterns, because even 10,000 Belizean dollars on a well, not to be guaranteed if they're going to hit water at the depth that they're quoting you that $10,000. Because keep in mind, if you have a well dug here, and it's not just Belize, if you have a well dug anywhere, they're going to quote you a price, and that price is going to be for a certain depth below ground. If they have to go below that depth in order to hit water, they're going to continue to charge your money. And I have said it in a couple other my videos. I do know somebody that is local to me here that went to have a well dug, and they had to stop the process because they did not hit water at the 75 foot that the gentleman was actually quoted to do that. So getting back to utilities, if you're looking for a piece of land in Belize, now this really isn't going to affect if you're in the cities, if you know, you're on one of the islands, if you're in Placentia, Hopkins, areas like that. Most of the lots and properties there, they're going to have electricity and water that are actually on the property. You're just going to have to hook up to them. So it's really not that big of a deal. So I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people who are buying inland. And the reason why this is important, because a lot of people miss this step. A lot of people get so caught up in the moment of seeing a nice piece of land that they forget to ask about utilities if you're going to need it. If you plan on being fully off grid, well, rainwater catchment, solar, this video isn't for you either. This is strictly for the people who are planning on buying a piece of property here in Belize that is inland, that is not around utilities. Because the one thing that you need to know, a lot of the property that's for sale here in Belize, one of the things that the listing is going to say, it is going to say that utilities are nearby or are close. And let me tell you what that means here in Belize. It means zero. It means nothing. It means the same thing that it means in the States. We went through this process when we bought our property because power wasn't too far away, but it was far away. And we inquired about getting power run out to where our house is out. But the first thing that we learned about Belize is that if we were, first off, it was way too expensive to get power run out here. But even if we were, one of the things that I asked was, well, if we spend money to get power poles and power run out to our property and it passes all these other properties, anybody else who hooks into that line should have to pay a hookup fee that will come back to me, because that's how it was in Florida. If you lived out in the boonies in Florida and you had power run down the street and you were the first one to have that power run, anybody else who hooked into that power, they had to pay a fee that would come back to you. So somehow you were getting your money back, and you weren't just spending a ridiculous amount of money to run power all the way down the road, and the other people coming in behind you were just like, oh, power's right here, and hooking into it, and it was just a hookup fee. No. So one of the things that I learned in Belize is they do not have that. So we kind of shied away from that anyway, because I'm not going to spend a bunch of money to run power out to my property, and then everybody else around me just gets to, you know, divvy up and be a part of that without actually paying for it. The other thing that I will tell you is that a lot of people are going to tell you that, you know, power is coming, it's getting close, it's getting near. I've heard people tell me that they've been hearing that for 5 years, some people for 10 years. It's not like, you know, the power companies here in Belize are already struggling. They don't have the money to just start hooking up, you know, power lines and drilling holes in the ground and paying manpower. I'm telling you right now, they absolutely do not have the money to do that. And they also do not have the money to run water lines out to remote areas. If there's not already an established village that can hook into all these utilities that is going to pay them back, they're not going to do it. They're not going to bring power out somewhere for one house. There has to be many houses. The only way that they're going to do it is if you pay the money, and it's going to be a large chunk of money. And I have to tell you, once again, when you're looking at properties and it comes to the utilities, you need to ask. And then you need to go look for yourself. If you are going to be dependent on hooking up to the grid, you need to ask the developer, well, where is the closest power? Where is the closest water line? So that way you can measure it for yourself, and you can get in contact with the right people that you need to get in contact with to find out how much money it's going to cost you to get power or water out to your property. But I can tell you this, it is not going to be cheap. That's why most places that are inland, they are somewhat off-grid or they're completely off-grid, because it's going to cost a lot of money to have utilities run to your property out here. So if that's something that, these hummingbirds are going crazy today. So if that's something that you're going to be dependent on, that's something that you really need to take in consideration. So all of a sudden that quarter-acre piece of property that you're looking at, that's a really, really good deal, might end up not being a real good deal. So once again, utilities on property in Belize is a big factor in your budget, not only where you're going to be, but how much it's going to cost. Because I can tell you right now that it was going to cost almost 3 times what it cost me for one of my quarter acres to bring to bring power out here. And at the end of the day, that just doesn't make any sense. And that's why you see a lot of these resorts and places that are inland in Belize, they're all eco-friendly. And I'm going to tell you, most of them, if they had to choose, if they could run air conditions for their guests, because, you know, it's just the way of the world. Some people like their AC, some people like their amenities and stuff. A lot of these resorts are completely off grid because it costs too much money to get utilities out there. So you can call it eco-friendly, or you can just call it smart, or you can just say that you don't have the money to run utilities out to your place. So just keep that in mind. If you're looking at land in Belize and it's inland and there's not power and water directly on your property, find out from your developer or your agent or whoever, where is the closest power pole and where is the closest hookup for water. So that gives you an idea. You can measure it, and then you can start calling around to find out how much that it's going to cost you to get power and water to your property. Because let me tell you what, watching people that have come over here that bought property, that, you know, had houses, Mennonite houses, built, brought in, built on site, and then can't get power or water, or may not be able to afford to get power or water out to their property. It's really, really disheartening to see. And of course, I don't want to see anybody go through that. You know, that's one thing that I really love about YouTube. And that's another reason why I decided to start the channel here, because even I watch YouTube daily, and if there's places that I'm thinking about going, it's the first thing I do is I get on YouTube and I start watching videos from other people who live there, who've visited there, who have flown in there, who have taken a cab, restaurants, you know, kind of get it straight from the horse's mouth. And of course, we're all going to have our own different experiences depending on what our lifestyle is like, how much money we have. So everybody's going to have their own personal experience no matter where they go. But YouTube is a great platform to find really good information about things that you're in general looking into or thinking about doing. So take it from me. I'm telling you right now, if you're looking to buy land in Belize, one of the first things that you should be asking, besides, am I in a flood zone? That's, a lot of people just learned that here with Sarah. I've had several people reach out to me here recently who sent me listings of property that they were looking to buy, and they're right on the river and they're right on bends. And the first thing that I say is, you don't want to be directly on a river, and you don't want to be on the bend of a river, because that is going to be the first place to actually flood. So you have to be informed. You have to take the information that's out there and you have to take it for what it's worth. But the second most important thing that I would probably tell you to ask somebody about a piece of property that you're looking at here, besides does it flood, is where are the closest utilities? And keep in mind, this only applies to somebody who's wanting to hook up into the grid. Like I said, if you're already in the cities, in the tourist areas, you're not going to have to worry about it. And if you're already know in your mind that you're going to go completely off grid, you don't have to worry about it. So hope you guys got some information out of this video. Please, if you like the information in the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share this video. I know that after the election in the States, and not just the States, but I know that there's a lot of people that are looking in to come into Belize right now. There's a lot of people who are moving around the world, who are tired with their governments, who are tired with their lifestyle in the country that they're living at or the state they're living at. They want a simpler way of life. There's so many people that are moving around right now. So please just keep that in mind. Utilities is a big thing here in Belize. And once again, I'm going to give you my opinion. Even if you're hooking up to the grid, the services, the utilities here in Belize, you cannot depend on them. You cannot depend on water, and you cannot depend on power. It's not, the infrastructure for these two major utilities is not set up here in Belize to depend on. So it's always good to have a backup, whether it's solar that you can run during the day, a generator, a cistern with some water, and a pump, something. I'm telling you, you need some kind of backup. It's going to save you a huge, huge headache in the long run. So thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you have a happy Thanksgiving, and information is power.